What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates. And today we're going to look to tackle the meat of the 2029 offseason together, or rather the 2028 offseason leading into 2029. So it should be an exciting episode where we're going to make a lot of moves. I've already sort of made some decisions off camera. We're at the first day of open free agency here. And last we left off, we sort of, looked at the pool, reviewed the team as a whole, and kind of set our objectives for the upcoming offseason. And we're coming off a season where we ended up making the playoffs, getting bounced like pretty early on. Not maybe the most ideal outcome for our Pirates, although I think we did, build positive momentum throughout the season. And this next year is shaping up to be a good one. Our fans are really hyped. Our fan interest is the highest it's ever been in the series, and there's quite a bit for us to look forward to. So, as I mentioned, I've gone ahead and done some work off camera to get some initial offers out, and you can see we're running really tight to even on our payroll here. So we'll get into those in a bit, but just to kind of set your expectations for the video today, I think we're going to look to get all those contract offers out, kind of simulate through a bit, get some back and forth negotiating there. I don't expect, everyone to sign off rip and everything to be super easy, so we'll kind of have to deal with that back and forth. We're going to continue to shop Cedric Mullins in the background as well because we need to free up money. He's in the final year of his deal here, 16.6 mil. He's been a great player for us, like very positive WAR every season, love his defense and center, but I think his time with us has come to an end and we need to move off of him. So I'm going to continue searching for trade partners that make sense to send him to. Kind of as we're progressing through these next couple of weeks, we have the winter meetings coming up in a couple of weeks in December. We're obviously going to continue to scout our IFA signings as well. Like the pool has been revealed for some time now. We have all of the guys loaded into the scouting tool, and we're running practices with them every month. So we'll continue to learn more about them. And then we'll kind of wrap the video, I think, looking at international free agency. So you guys can kind of weigh in on who you want me to attempt to sign. That'll be a nice way to engage. So speaking of engagement, I guess if you find yourself coming back to these videos often, I always appreciate a like on the video. If you could pull it up on your phone and just quickly hit that button, it really makes a difference in the reach of the channel, and I enjoy bringing new people onto the series. I've been reading all the comments you all have been dropping on previous episodes, kind of like explaining where you're at with the series, and I can kind of give my perspective on our POV at the time, and it's just nice to have that conversation. So appreciate any engagement you can throw on the series as always. But let's show you what I've cooked up here. As I mentioned, we're at the first day of free agency, and we have made some offers. One big one, a couple of minor league deals across here, and we offered Hunter Green a 4-year, $68 million deal just to be kind of like first on his radar. I don't know that he is going to accept this. If you look at his pitching stats, like annually, he is like typically between a 2 and 4 WAR player, and he's coming off a down year. So I think it's a good opportunity to buy low for us. Has a little bit of like injury history, but nothing in the most recent season, nothing in 2028, just a little forearm stuff back in 2027. So feel like he's a safe bet. I think his tendency doesn't really do him any favors in Cincinnati, but I'm optimistic he would play better in our park factor, where it's a little more difficult to hit home runs. So we've offered him, like I just showed, a 4-year contract for $68 million, and really it's an enticing offer for him with like a couple of bonuses for 200 innings pitched, a Cy Young bonus, All-Star bonus, but really I wish I could show the structure of the contract to you, but essentially it's a 2-year deal, guaranteed, and then he has player options for year 3 and 4 of the contract. So it's a guaranteed kind of like 2-year bounce back deal for him. If he performs really well and he wants to, chase bigger money, he can opt out at age 31. And then he can also opt out at age 32 if he wants to stay on for an extra year. So I think we may be able to pull this off. But if he comes back and he wants more money, I think we're going to have to likely bail out because I'm not willing to go much lower on our finances. I guess I should have shown this earlier, but we discussed it last episode. I did end up pulling back our dev budget to 20 mil, so it's a full 10 mil regression in our player dev, which may not be popular with a lot of you guys. I can totally understand that, but at the same time, we've had the number one system in baseball for about like 2.5 years running. So I think the guys are okay. The system is like so deep with talent. We can afford to pull back just a bit to try to compete here, as our owner has set the expectation that we reach the playoffs and we desperately need another proven pitcher. So we're kind of pushing it against the budget, obviously. Once we trade Cedric Mullins, ideally that frees up a little bit of wiggle room for us. But, I felt like Hunter Green was the clear option as far as starting pitching goes. I didn't want to reach out to Luzardo, who's demanding 32 mil. Spencer Strider is very fragile, even though he is popular. He also, I think, received a QO, so we would have to give up compensation for him. Whereas Hunter Green, Cincinnati just straight up declined his team option, and he became a free agent, so there's no compensation tied to trying to bring him on. We can, of course, pivot to a backup option when Green comes back and turns us down and demands more money, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Other offers we have made here, Jeremiah Estrada really just wants a minor league contract. I'm kind of trying to fill out our AAA pitching depth. Same for Jimenez here. He's injured currently, but just wanted a minor league deal. And a couple more pitchers here. We ended up offering a minor league deal to the Japanese third baseman here, Haraguchi, who we view as a contact first kind of guy, but doesn't want any money, only 22. We'll take a shot on that. And then also 2 relievers here I decided to offer major league deals to. First, Randy Rodriguez. I guess this shouldn't be too surprising. The 29-year-old hits free agency and is a durable power pitcher who I think can factor for us. He's very balanced against both sides of the plate here. Of course, better against righties than lefties, as he is a righty thrower. But if we go to his pitching stats and look at his shutdown meltdowns last year, he was getting leverage. So he is an accustomed leverage arm, and he has a good shutdown meltdown ratio for the last 3 seasons. So I feel comfortable, paying him, and he would still be under team control if we do end up bringing him on. So we actually offered him, I think, $50,000 over his initial asking point, hoping to sway him early. The other guy we've offered is Antoine Kelly, who has never debuted, and he's 25. So it's I'm getting Lister Sosa vibes here. If you can, take yourself back to the offseason where we signed him initially. But the 25-year-old has good stamina, is good at holding runners, and had a great season at AAA last year, sub-3 ERA, good whip. I think he would be ready to debut and looks solid against both sides. I think he would work well with our dev staff too as a normal pitcher archetype. That's kind of the specialty of our coaching at the moment. So it felt like we could maybe snatch him up. I don't think he was... he was just with the Angels org last season, never really debuted for them. I don't mind paying him a little bit of a premium, $900K, to be on the 40-man because, I just showed, he has all 3 options available to us. So I think he would likely just kind of compete with, he has good stamina. I think he would probably compete with Fujimoto for the final spot here, or maybe Jaden Woods too. I kind of think we're factoring Bubba Chandler and Thomas White out at this point. So we're looking for another middle relief option, which could be Brash. It could be Randy Rodriguez, either one. And then De La Paz, Fujimoto / Antoine Kelly. So that's all we've done up until this point. Now we just have to kind of sit back and see how... the cards fall. Really hoping we could bring on Hunter Green. Like I mentioned, I think we have a decent shot. We've given him a really enticing deal. So we're going to advance the next couple of days here off camera. And then I can kind of, monitor the market at large and see where all of these big names sign, like Riley Green, like George Kirby, Logan Webb. We'll keep tabs on where everyone goes and review that as it, happens. And meanwhile, I am going to continue shopping Cedric Mullins, like I mentioned. So let me get going here and start cranking along toward the winter meeting start date here in about, 2 to 3 weeks of game time. So I'll pop back on as the news comes through. Okay, guys, back here relatively quickly. I was aggressively shopping Cedric Mullins in the first days of free agency, and I landed on a deal that we liked here actually on the free agency date of the 25th, and I finally processed it today. I just wanted to get it over with before it was like retracted for whatever reason. So you can look at the deal here. And Minnesota was a team who was looking to win now. They just lost Riley Green to free agency, and they weren't going to be able to pay Riley Green level money, but they were able to take on Cedric Mullins level money if we were to retain 60% of his salary. So they had a desperate need at center field. It was like when we're at the trade screen, it has like their whole roster, and it's kind of color coded. The center field was a red dot, so they really needed center field help. We send them a rental in Cedric Mullins, and they also extorted us for left fielder Braylon Brazaban, who actually is quite the prospect for us. He was, I think, our 26th best prospect. So while he is quite good, he was not very highly regarded by OSA. I mean, it definitely stinks to give him up, but I don't know that we were ever building around him long term, and honestly, he needs a shot with another team. So I'm fine to use him as the sacrificial lamb to free up the salary that we need to make moves this offseason. We have so many other outfielders in our system, and we've drafted so many outfielders. I know it may be unpopular to trade him away, but I think it was necessary in order to only retain 60% of Mullins' salary. And in return, we're getting a 25-year-old pitcher, Jose Olivares, who is Rule 5 eligible. We're going to need to add him to the 40-man. He's never debuted, but he looks pretty solid, you guys. I like everything that he brings to the table here. Not a ton of stamina, but good at holding runners. Maybe he could be a reliever, but we're going to give him a chance to be a starter as well. It's possible that he would even be our 5th starter this year. I'm not going to rule that out as well. He seems to be pretty ready. He's nearly 26, so it's definitely time to add him, and he has all his option years available. He was also outside their top 20 prospects. He was 23 or something like that. So we're swapping a prospect in our 20s for a prospect in their 20s, and they're taking on a rental in Cedric Mullins and freeing up some salary for us. So I think it works for both sides. We did get a minor decrease to fan interest because of this. So we've dropped from 78 down to 77. I think it's fine. Mullins at the time was just he actually dropped in popularity to just well-known locally. Previously, he was popular and very popular. So he's kind of decreased his popularity, and we've gone over it before, but it makes sense for us to move on. I don't think the price is too bad to pay with Braylon Brazaban, but of course that could come to bite us down the road if we go to his scouting. He has progressed from a 40 grade guy in 2025. Now, 3 years later, he has increased his potential by 10 points. So it's possible, I guess, that he continues to see that rate of progression and turns into, the next whatever amazing left-handed outfielder. But if it happens, it happens. It's whatever. Another thing I wanted to mention before we move on, this is just going to be a quick check-in before we continue on. We have not heard anything back on our free agents, but you can see the amount of money that has freed up for us this season. So we can be a little more aggressive in pursuing Hunter Green if we want to, if the contract negotiations start to heat up. But at the very least, we can funnel this back into player development and continue building up our system. There's not really anyone super interesting on the trade block at the moment. Ryan Weathers is fine. I really don't want to tap into this market unless we have to. There's no real good relievers on there yet. I'm going to keep eyes on it though. Should someone become available, maybe we look to cash out on some of our prospects to make a move there. The other thing I want to mention before moving on is I've decided to make an adjustment to the Athletics. I've decided to move them to Las Vegas. And I was tinkering in the team settings, and I decided to increase their market size to above average here. So it's kind of like, right in the middle of the pack. Previously, it was very low. I also gave them a boost in fan interest and a marginal boost in fan loyalty. So, I kind of gave them a little bit bigger of a market overall, hoping that they can boost their budget and payroll. I also increased their local media contract from 21 mil to 30 mil. I wasn't really sure what was realistic. I was just kind of like, well, let's increase it by, 5% or whatever. Like something like that. Just a little marginal increase. And then I also changed their park. I renamed it to MGM Park. I set the coordinates to be in Vegas, and I recalculated the park factor based on it being a dome with a grass surface and a 40K capacity. So I just, redid all the park factors based on those attributes and the coordinates of being in Vegas, and this is what it kind of spit out. So it's kind of a, doubles and triples park, and I didn't really change the dimensions at all because I'm not like a ballpark designer, and I just felt like this was a good like half measure toward achieving something that is like a little more interesting for them. So mostly just increase the capacity there. We'll probably not notice much change this year, but I think as the sim progresses, maybe they become like more of a factor. Their owner's willing to spend a little bit more, even though he is notoriously stingy. So a couple of updates there just across the league. I've kind of wanted to do that for a while, but we finally did it. We're off of the Cedric Mullins deal, so that's going to open up so much more playing time in our outfield and just allow guys like Edward Lantigua or possibly even Connor Griffin to, play a ton of games for us. So we're going to keep moving along here. I'll check back in with you when I have news regarding all of our free agent negotiations. Okay, guys, first day of the winter meetings, and a bunch of news has come across. First, Antoine Kelly's kind of stiffing us. He wants, upwards of $1 million to be on our 40-man with no MLB experience. So I think we're just going to bow out on this. It's not that we can't afford it, but it's just like I don't want to. We previously offered him just like $940. And if he goes somewhere else, I think that's fine. Like the pitcher we just traded for, I think we can bring up and we'll give us similar production. And we have other guys in our system too, so I sort of cooled off on him. Other guys are we're still negotiating with. We did end up signing this guy, Kameji Haraguchi, the 22-year-old Japanese third baseman who is more of a contact first kind of guy, but he could be pretty decent. He's got good work ethic and loyalty. I think we'll let him get run at either AAA or AA. He just signed a major league or a minor league deal, so we can kind of take it slow, I guess, with him. But happy to have him on board, and we're continuing. We got initial positive feedback from Hunter Green, which is awesome. No news yet, but fingers crossed we can. Bring him on. We'll actually request a scouting report on him as well, just to be certain. We do have a relatively recent one from August, but it's now December. Maybe something has changed. And otherwise, we're just kind of waiting on, everything else. But the winter meetings have started. Houston will be picking number 1 in the upcoming draft. So no real big movers here. I guess Detroit would be the one. Our Pirates will be picking 29th. We had one of the best records in the MLB last season, so going to be picking a bit later this year than we have before. And then, 29th in the first round, and then we will not pick again until 30th in the second round, and then back to 26th from there on out, 25th here. So definitely at the back half. There have been some major signings, y'all. Some big news early in free agency. The first domino to sort of fall was not even this Logan Webb deal. It was Logan Gilbert who accepted a $30 million a year offer with the Mariners for the next 5 seasons. They're World Series champions, and they bring back Logan Gilbert on a big time deal here until his age 37 season. So he's likely a Mariner for life with this contract, which is good for him. Cool to see that. And then Logan Webb ended up going to the Yankees for $41 per season. So this is a big deal. 5-year for the selfish Logan Webb. I don't know why he rolled a bad personality in this, but really funny. So it's all guaranteed as well. So they are definitely tied to him, which is scary because he is fragile. And he just have high work ethic. Like, his personality isn't really that bad. It's just the low leader kind of attribute. But that was a big move. If we go back to the offseason center, we can just kind of see, I know Kodai Senga also signed, but you can see the other signings here. Nate Eovaldi goes to the Diamondbacks on a 2-year deal. And then Kodai Senga gets 3 years in Boston at $34.5. So, he's fragile as well, but is coming off a pretty good season. I'm just happy to have him in the AL and off the Mets now at this point. So, those have been the moves so far. Wanted to give you all the updates on the negotiations, but we're going to continue rolling through here. The Rule 5 draft is approaching on the 23rd. I'll be back with any news that breaks before then, but otherwise I'll check back with you for the Rule 5. Okay, fast forwarding a bit, we are on the eve of the Rule 5 draft. We have not advanced there just yet because we need to make some 40-man additions. We have a lot of unprotected players that need protecting, but I'm going to recap you on a couple of notable transactions that have happened since we last left off. The major ones were George Kirby to the Dodgers for 7 years, $40 million a season, so big contract for George Kirby, like all guaranteed apart from the final season, which is a vesting option. So the Dodgers are going to do Dodger things, and they bring in their new ace pitcher, Riley Green, as well to Texas on a big 4-year deal. This is going to allow him to hit free agency again at just 31, 32. So he's got an opt-out after 2030 as well. So he could hit, free agency again at age 30. But going down to Texas to play outfield there. And then, a couple of relievers here. Felix Bautista and AJ Puck both go. Josh Lowe goes to San Francisco for 2 years. No other big major moves. We have still not heard anything back regarding our offers. It's all still just favorable as far as I'm aware. They're all just actively considering it. So let's pivot our attention to the Rule 5. We have a list of players here. We have filtered for players who are Rule 5 eligible. And I guess before that, we have a total of 8 slots on our 40-man here. But, we kind of want to keep like 1 or 2 in reserve just in case. So I think we're looking to add like 5 to 6 guys, ideally. So if we take a look at who's available, I have it sorted by potential first. So guys like Edward Florentino and Tony Blanco Jr. are, I think, too far away. And like pretty much anyone under like a 40, I'm like content or, comfortable leaving off. There are certain exceptions to the rule that we'll get into, but I have a couple of players in mind that I want to start with. And if we sort by overall, it's easier to see them here. So there's only a couple players available who are like 40 plus in our scout's eye. It's also important to consider like what OSA may view players as. That could also, maybe lead to them being selected. You get the idea. But when I'm looking at these top available players, I don't really mind losing Nick Semio. Even though he's like pretty capable, I just don't care. Shaylin Polanco is a nice player too. He's 24, almost 25, but just kind of a lefty outfielder. Like, we have this archetype in our system so frequently. We are going to add Jose Olivares, the new trade acquisition we just got in return for Cedric Mullins. So we're going to purchase his contract. We're going to place him on the 40-man. So that will remove him. That brings us to 33. I also want to purchase the contract of Finn McElroy, our 4th-round pick in 2025, who got good work at AA and AAA last season, played in the Arizona Fall League as well, was, one of the leading starters down there. And I think it's time to see what we have. And, partially why I'm doing it is because OSA views him as a 45 still. So, like, if another scout or if another organization is, like, placing weight on these evaluations, he has a high likelihood of being taken, and I don't want that, obviously. So we're going to add Finn McElroy as well to the secondary 40-man, start the clock on his time. And then we get down into these guys where it's like, okay, we got to make some tough decisions here. Guys like Hunter Barco and like Solometo, Skylar Hales were done with. I'm fine like leaving these guys unprotected. I'm even fine leaving Zane Petty unprotected because he's just a 40 grade guy. I don't think OSA sees him any better, and it would definitely sting to lose him. I would be super bummed out. But at the same time, I don't think that it's likely that we lose him. He's over 25. I'm not sure he'll be taken. So, cut to him being taken and me crashing out like immediately after. No, just kidding. But Elian Pena is here, and he is the one who I am like waffling on the most because we see him as a 40 grade. OSA, however, just sees him as a 35. He's 21. Starting the clock on him is like slightly risky in the sense that like maybe he'll be caught and blocked by the time he's out of option years, right? I don't think he's ready to debut right now. His production at AA last season was pretty good in like a pretty limited sample, but I think he could play in AAA this season, yada yada. I think we're going to add him. All this to say we're going to add him. We're not going to chance it. We're going to place him on the 40-man. So that brings us up to 35. We have a good amount of pitching. I wouldn't mind adding another pitcher, if I'm being honest. And if I look at the rest of our team, we don't really have much in the way of like middle infield depth. Well, no, that's not true because we have Brannigan and Pena here. Outfielders, we are carrying a good amount. We could stand to add one more outfielder, maybe one more infielder, and one more pitcher. So let's look and see who we have available. I guess it's also like Gavin Turley is here, who we sort of view as a 4A player at this point, but OSA views him a little bit higher, and like they view his defense as being like really, really strong. So I'm kind of like at a loss of what to do with him. He is 25, so I think it would make sense to start his clock, but like at the same time, we view him as like his ratings as capped. So if we go back to I also wanted to show this. If we just toggle to OSA sorting, they have a couple of guys rated much higher than we do. First off, Luke Jackson, our 11th round pick in the first draft out of Texas A&M, 2025 draftee. He's never played above the high A level, you guys, and he has not been good for us really at any level apart from this one season at A-ball. And there's just such a huge discrepancy between what we have and what they have for him. So, I kind of feel like if he gets taken, he gets taken, and it is what it is. Because I wouldn't want to play him at the majors, and I don't know. I need to think about it a little more. And same story here with Cole Klecker. They have him at 40 grade with big stuff potential. He's our 12th round pick out of TCU in 2025. So it's possible he could get selected as well. So Nate Snead, also same thing. 35 in our scouts' eyes, 40 in the OSA eyes. So, although he's never pitched above AA, it's kind of weird to toe this line of what are we willing to risk and who do we need on the 40-man. So I was hoping to do all of this on camera, and we accomplished a good bit of it, but now I'm sort of at a point of crisis where I don't know who else to add. So I'm going to pop off here and think about it a little bit more. But next time you see me, we'll be at the Rule 5 official. All right, y'all. I was crunching the numbers and trying to make room on our 40 for, players who we've drafted and players who we still have attachment to. And I kind of felt the need to clear out some space. And so I loaded these two guys into the trade finder and we got a deal that I think is favorable for us. I know it's like we had maybe expectations for Jaden Woods with us this season, but I think we have kind of like, he's sort of redundant with guys that we already have on the roster, like Santucci and Thomas White being like the lefty starter. And he's entering his final minor league option year. So at 27, I'm kind of like thinking we just ship him off for a fresh start, even though he was quite good for us. And I have always liked him due to his like movement. I just think, it's not going to hurt us that much. And I would rather not risk losing players in the 40-man or in the Rule 5 rather. So similar story with Jacob Melton. He's in his final year here. We have so many outfielders in the system. I think like we can just add Gavin Turley to the 40-man, and he kind of slots into Jacob Melton's role as like a good on the base path, good defender kind of guy. So like I mentioned, we put them both in the trade finder and shopped them around, and Philly was interested, and they're willing to give us this guy, Ben Cleaver, who has starter upside, not the best personality traits, and he's a finesse pitcher, which is a little outside of what I normally work with, but he's kind of just average across the board. Former 4th-round pick in 2026 from University of Kentucky. He's never pitched above the rookie ball level, so it's kind of like an unknown thing of like, will he ever turn out to be good or anything? And we see him higher than OSA, so it's kind of like we've keyed in on him maybe having more potential than the consensus has, and we're willing to bet on that. So it's going to free up some money, of course, like removing 2 guys, but we're just going to, repurchase new contracts. So it's not actually going to make much of a difference in terms of our bottom line, but I'm content to make this move. Sorry to all the Jaden Woods fans out there. I was one of them as well, so we're going to have to keep tabs on him and see what he does. So we're going to complete it. It's a done deal. Ben Cleaver is going to probably get pushed to triple or double A for us. We're going to get a new scouting report just to be certain on that. And it looks like he's got decent relationships with our coaching here. We'll see what the scouting report comes back with. I'm going to continue adding players to the 40-man. Sorry, guys. We're kind of, dragging our feet getting to this Rule 5. And we are finally at the Rule 5 draft, y'all. You can see we've started the draft. We're going to pick later in this one. We are picking 25th, so no guarantee any good players will be available to us once we are on the clock. I'm going to recap sort of the 40-man moves we made, though, before we get started. We ended up adding quite a bit more, and we're up to 38 now. We're kind of saving a couple spots for, obviously, free agents we're trying to sign. But there's some surprising names in here. We did end up adding Cole Klecker, our 12th-round pick, back in 2025, the first draft of the series. He may be a reliever long-term, but OSA sees him being like so much more valuable than we do. And like a lot of these guys, we were like they're kind of like 24, 25. Like we just need to start the clock on them and see what we have. This is maybe a surprise, but our 20th round pick in 2025, Kevin Jaxel, is going to make the team. If we set his position to reliever, we see a 50 grade potential there. And he honestly doesn't look too bad. So, similar situation, almost 25. OSA sees him as higher than we do with like a lot more movement upside. Kind of a late round steal there. I think he can contribute. We already went over Finn McElroy and Olivares. I also added Nate Snead. All the Nate Snead fans out there, he is going to be on the roster because he is also nearly 25. So we kind of just need to throw him into the deep end of the pool and see if he can sink or swim. At one time we had really high hopes for him, but I don't know that he'll ever live up to those expectations. No other pitchers. We did add Adonis Guzman. You can see he's like a 35 grade, so it's like whatever, but he's such a tremendous defender and like a captain. I think him also already being 25, like it's just fine to add him as like a third catcher to carry on the 40-man should anyone go down with injury. I didn't want to have him be selected and us, left with no one. So I kind of like him. He was pretty good in the Arizona Fall League as well, so he'll get full run at AAA next season for sure. Other additions here, we only added Gavin Turley to kind of take the Jacob Melton slot in the outfield. OSA sees a little more untapped potential with him in power and eye, and they see his defense as being better than we do. So, similar story, 25. It's time to see what we have here. So those are the additions. I've taken a look at the Rule 5 draft pool, and there are a number of interesting players here. If we go to batters, we're not really in the market for a batter, but I think two players are noteworthy here. Colt Emerson being the primary one. He's still not even 24 and is being left unprotected by Andrew McCutchen and the Marlins. And we have Yordani kind of penciled into our backup middle infielder role this upcoming season, but should Colt Emerson be on the board for us, it's going to be difficult for me to pass him up just because we at one point viewed him as a 60 grade potential guy. And obviously he's like very highly touted in real life. I would not be surprised if he gets taken before our selection. But it will definitely be a conversation if he's on the board for us. He did not have the best Arizona Fall League run recently, only at 86 WRC+. But in AAA, on the whole season, he had a 900 OPS and a 123 WRC+. So I think you could argue that he is ready, and his ratings against righties are definitely better than against lefties. But being so young, I think I would be willing to bet on that. So additionally, Jesus Mate is here, and he's a little bit further away. He's only a 40, and I don't know that he's like ready to contribute just yet. He did not really perform well at either AA or AAA this season, but obviously he's like so young and so good in real life that I would almost feel compelled to take him. I think he's just a little too far away, but I thought it was notable that he was here. No other major bats that I was like looking at. There are some like interesting prospects here, like Cam Canarella, but they're again like so far away that I don't really think it makes sense for us. Josue De Paula also here. He's really just a DH, and we don't really need that. So I don't think we're looking too much at hitter apart from Colt Emerson. If we look at pitching though, and maybe kind of think about, we could maybe find a reliever in this draft, there are definitely quite a few interesting names, but no one who I think I'm in love with taking. I'll scroll through here and kind of like shout out. I went through all of these to see who may be interesting and who would maybe not make sense for us. If there are a lot of like prospects here now, like Seth Hernandez, who was of course taken with the 22nd pick in the first draft of the series by Atlanta. Obviously drafted by the Pirates in real life at number 6 in 2025. So I don't think he's ready. Like, he's just a 35 grade guy, but could be interesting to bring him on. I don't know that he would stick with us long term, like on the roster, because he's just so weak against both sides. So I think he's just a little too far away for me to risk taking. And, there are some other guys down here as well, like Justin Lampkin. We had considered drafting him in 2025, and he's never really panned out to the degree that OSA saw him. He's sort of just been an average guy, never played above the A-ball level. So I don't know that he makes sense, but I thought it was interesting to see him here. I'm somewhat interested in Daniel Palencia, but I think the control issues are a little too much for me to stomach. But he throws really hard, and he's pretty cool. So, he's definitely available as far as, like, major league proven guys. Similar story here in the prospect vein of, like, Riley Quick, the first-round pick from Alabama in 2025. Has yet to debut for the Cubs, but he looks pretty solid all around, has a great slider-sinker combo. Not sure he could, be super productive with his control and his ratings against left-handed batters, but I don't know. It's kind of like all of these guys have issues and have certain things that I don't love about them, and this is maybe one of the more interesting ones. Cole Tolbert. He looks pretty solid, but again, I just come back to the control, and it's like I prefer to have something a little bit more consistent in our bullpen. So Trey Savage as well. Like he's never really gotten there. I'm not sure what they're doing with him, what the plan is, but they just keep running him out at like low A ball, and he's 25 at this point. The ratings do not look good, so let's just get it underway and see who is available to us when we're on the clock. I don't know that we're even going to make a selection this year, if I'm being honest. It just depends if, maybe Cole Emerson makes it or not. So let's just go. We'll see if anyone gets selected from our team. I think we'll see who goes with number 1 pick. It is Ronnie Garcia, a relief pitcher who could start. Honestly, he looks solid. He was from the Brewers organization. We'll go through the first couple here, and then we'll just auto draft. But Houston goes Colt Emerson. So there we go. It's off. Like the dream is dead. Colt Emerson goes to the Astros. So good for him. He will hopefully get to play for them, and he's expecting to start. So hopefully they have a clear path. LA will take Marcelo Perez. And let's just go ahead and sim through. I don't want to drag this out too much longer. We'll take a look at the log to see who went. No one who we were really considering. Demetrio Crisantes is solid. But otherwise, Cole Tolbert does go. The pitcher we kind of looked at the very end. I don't think we're going to make a selection, you guys. I think Jesus Made is too far away. Nathan Martorella is here, but we don't really need a lefty first base bat who is like more of a DH. Like it's just kind of redundant in our, on our active roster. So I think I'm content to skip on this. Like I mentioned, I think we're good. So we're going to skip. And then I'm just going to finish out the draft here. See if any of our guys get selected, and Nick Samio was drafted, so good for him. He will go to the Angels organization at almost 29 years old, so maybe he'll finally get his chance to prove something. We'll just continue skipping our pick and see if anyone else gets taken here. Curious to see how many rounds we go this year. I didn't feel like the pool was all that strong when I was looking at all the players available, but it looks like there are still picks being made. Even this far into the draft, wow. Okay, so we've wrapped up. Only lost one guy. Big improvement over last season where we got, wrecked for like 4 guys. Jordan Balazovich got selected, but I wasn't really wowed by him. Like it's kind of just average across the board, and like we have our young guys, so I think we can get similar production out of them. So kind of an underwhelming Rule 5 draft, if I'm being honest. Next on the calendar is actually the beginning of the preseason and the IFA signing period. So we're still like in the dark on most of our contract negotiations. We have a little bit of money available to us here. I'll be curious if our owner is feeling generous or not at the preseason start date. But let me keep rolling through here. We're about to turn over to the new year 2029, so hopefully that brings good news for us. Okay, y'all, huge day here. We've only simulated 2 days since I last checked in, but major shockwaves across the NL Central as Hunter Green defects from Cincinnati to our Pittsburgh Pirates. We didn't have to negotiate with him at all, so this is really crazy. We put, we are forward thinking with our offer, trying to meet his needs as a star player, and we brought him on. And just the day before, Randy Rodriguez signed as well. So I couldn't be happier. Like our two top targets sign with no issue, no back and forth, nothing like that. We bring in a lot of minor league deals as well. But I'll show you the structure of Hunter Green's contract here. Like I said, it's pretty friendly to him, and he's coming off of a down year where he only had a 1.0 WAR off of back-to-back seasons of being really, really solid. So the structure is definitely favorable, but we guaranteed 2 years with him. So his age 29 and 30 season, he can opt out when he's 31. He has a no-trade clause. He's got bonuses here for Cy Young and 200 innings pitched. So hopefully this is good. I feel better about him being our number 2 starter, and then we bump Dan Beebe down to the 3 spot just because Dan Beebe is a little unproven. But this will definitely, improve our pitching staff. There's no question about it. So I'm like, he's got an excellent relationship with our manager, so that's sick. Let's go ahead and add him into the org here, and get our rotation going. So we've got a full 40-man roster, and honestly that was like the last kind of pending free agent move. So this is sort of how we're looking with our staff at the moment. I'll just toggle Bubba for a placeholder, but we've got Jones, Green, Beebe, Burrows, Harrington, and then Harrington's role is subject to change. The back end of the bullpen is, staying the same. Brash, Abreu, Holton. And then in middle relief, we have Randy Rodriguez now, who looks very steady against both sides. Good relationships with all of our coaching. He's also durable. And then Fujimoto will likely debut. His role isn't 100% certain, as he's just a 2-pitch guy. And he kind of may have struggles against left-handed pitching. We'll just kind of see how he performs, but he has all of his optioneers available, so we could send him up and down as needed. And then we're looking for a long reliever. Maybe that's Thomas White, or maybe it's Bubba Chandler, or maybe it's one of our other pitchers that we just added to the 40-man. It could be Santucci, or it could be McElroy, or somebody like that. So super stoked on this news. I think it's a big improvement for us. Obviously, Hunter Green is one of the sickest pitchers in real life, dominant stuff, great at not allowing hits, inducing soft contact. So hopefully our park factor helps him with his fly ball issue that he has had over the last year or two. But really, really excited to bring his personality and leadership on, and he's a popular player, so the fans are excited. And yeah, we're up to an 80 fan interest now, so hopefully our owner recognizes our hard work this off season, and gives us a little bit of a budget increase so we can be big spenders in the draft and funnel more money back into player dev. So super exciting news. There's not really many more pending offers that we have out there now that we're moving through here. Just a couple more minor league signings, and we've kind of cut loose on Antoine Kelly there, but next time I think it's going to be smooth sailing all the way up to the IFA pool opening. So I'll keep things moving. I think overall I'm really happy at how things have gone so far for us. And it is officially the start of the preseason here, January 14th, 2029, and our owner is not feeling as generous as we had hoped. He's keeping the budget at 188, so we're going to be under tight finances so far this season, or for the rest of this season. A little disappointing that we didn't get more money available to us, but as you can see, our projected attendance is way up across the board. I have yet to manipulate the ticket prices here, so I'm going to try to, mess around with this, try to get our season tickets as high as I can while maintaining our good, attendance projection. So more to come there. We have IFA free agency beginning today as well, and we have, our full 5.8 mil budget allocated, obviously. So we'll wrap the episode by just taking a look at who's available, and you can kind of opine in the comments if you feel strongly about a certain player. But there's not much in the way of pitching in this one, just straight off the bat. There are just a group of average guys here. There's one who's really cheap, Esteban Camacho, who is kind of that finesse pitcher build where he throws upper 80s and is not really even a control artist either. So I just don't like him at all. Very high dev risk. And the other guys are relievers, and I'm not going to pay upwards of $2 million for a reliever. So we're looking pretty much exclusively at batters here. And we've done a bit of work on all of these guys. There are a couple of cheaper options down the board here. Edwin Torres for $250, and this guy isn't cheap, but I liked him as a shortstop. So If I had to say like who my favorite prospect is, I mean there are a couple. I don't think there's not like a generational prospect in here. I don't think that will like command 10 million plus. Of course, you remember we play with the uncapped free agency spending, so it's possible for teams to spend as much money as they want here. They can go up to like 30 or 40 million and bring in a ton of guys if they want. It just makes it a little more challenging for us to compete. That's why I like, running it this way. So we'll just start at the top, and I'll go through, and you can let me know what you think. But this guy looks really good. Mike Castellan, BK. I think, medium dev risk, seems to be a capable defender on the middle infield, although not sure you want him playing short just yet. But 6'2", 180, projects to have plus power and eye. Contact bat to ball is like average. If that were to slip and he goes below average, then he's really just looking at like, kind of a 3 true outcome profile. But overall, I think he's pretty safe. I don't know that we're, looking to bring him on for sure. We only have like average relationships with all of these guys, which is weird because we ran them all through the training every month, and we were only able to get up to average, so that's a little bizarre. Center fielder Damiano Cristofolini is like a corner outfield first base type who bats righty. He's only 6'1", 175, so definitely a plus contact guy, and he's durable. So the Italian from Venezuela looks solid. I don't know that he's my favorite. Love that he is a medium dev risk and like a line drive hitter, but I'm not in love with him. I think, guys, we're going to look to attack catcher with this if I'm like, giving a hint as to where I'm leaning. But maybe my favorite player in the whole class is this guy, Elias Ortiz. His nickname is the Wild Elk of the Wasatch, which is like obviously cool, very cool. And he's got, a solid personality with good baseball IQ. Appears to be a somewhat capable defender on the infield, but the bat is like tremendous. And if we go to his ratings, he could play the outfield as well. So I think it's possible he would pivot to a corner out there eventually. He's got good base running ability. He's a line drive hitter. The only thing that's scary is his high development risk, and he's kind of starting at a very low starting point of like 20s across the board. But I do like him quite a bit. So Elias Ortiz is maybe my favorite position player, although I think he's further away than Mike Castellan. If we compare them, like Elias Ortiz is here on the right. He's definitely more of a contact hitter, but Castellan has 25 of like on him in power, which is like obviously huge, very substantial. So kind of just depends on your flavor of what you want there. But actually, Elias Ortiz is further along by 5 points compared to Castellan in their current ratings. A couple more outfielders before we get into the catchers. Bill Hara, I was hoping the more we scouted him, the more this like avoid K would grow, but I think I'm kind of out on him, even though he has 85 grade power. JP, the lefty batter, like outfielder, I mean, he's solid, but I just don't want to shell out the money for him. The next guy down here, Esteban Ibarra, Park Bang, is a very similar profile. I mean, they're almost identical, also 85 grade power. He's like slightly worse defensively, I think, than the other guy, but also bats left and has a strikeout issue. So they're kind of similar there. I don't know that we love either of them. These guys down here, Juan Bouillon, Juan Bouillon, maybe, has good gap power, like very solid across the board, medium dev risk, good leader, good infield range. I don't hate him. If if we need to pivot for whatever reason to him as a backup option, I would be fine. And the final guy here, Edwin Torres, actually has like kind of a less desirable personality, but he bats switch and he has 70 grade power and seems to be, somewhat decent across the board. I think it's maybe worth taking a shot on him at just 250K if we can kind of like swoop in and grab him. So we'll dive into the catchers here. I think these are probably my leanings just because, or these players are where I'm leaning because, we've been searching for a new developmental high-tier catching prospect in our system, and I think this is maybe where we find our answer. So a couple of options. The guy we view highest, or most highly, is Javier Ruiz, who is a mountain of a man, 6'5", 215 behind the plate. So getting like Joe Mauer vibes, getting like Jonah Heim vibes. But he has like a defining trait of 80 grade power and 70 grade eye. Combine that with his good personality and blocking and framing, I think I really like this guy. I like Javier Ruiz a lot. I think he's probably my favorite, although I can be swayed if you feel differently. He's a fly ball hitter, spray, normal, like ground ball tendency. So definitely not going to be a runner, but that's something we can work on. I just think the 80 grade power at catcher would be awesome, and the contact tool is just marginal, but it kind of is what it is. A lot of our coaching can kind of help that too. Jose Alvarez is next. Maury, the newly turned 16-year-old, is kind of similar in the sense that he is like just average with his bat to ball and has a good eye, but he lacks the power that the other guy does, that Ortiz does. But he's like a little bit better at blocking and framing, and has a similar good personality, but he does have low baseball IQ, so he's a little bit faster. It's just kind of slightly different. If we toggle between them, I'll like go up to Ruiz. You can see how they compare defensively. Alvarez is definitely better, but with Ruiz, you're getting that 80 grade power, so that's definitely a defining trait. So I tend to favor Ruiz, and they both bat righty. So kind of splitting hairs here. Both are medium dev risk. Both have pretty good personalities, although Alvarez does have the low baseball IQ, like I mentioned. So between the two, I think I'm leaning Ruiz. But there is a third catcher here, Luis Del Busto, a.k.a. Big Florida, which would just be a hilarious name to have. But he's extreme dev risk, so he's like definitely the furthest away, and he's not quite the defender that the other guys are, but he does have high work ethic, so like all of this could come together. He's definitely more of just like the traditional catcher bat profile if we were to compare him to Ruiz, who we tend to favor the most here. It's plus 35 here compared to just plus 25 here, so Ruiz has plus 10 in the like attribute aggregate, but they're coming in as the same guy. Like there's no difference in their current attribute dispersal, so they're coming in at the same level. It's just kind of which profile do you favor? Do you favor like the more balanced, like not going to strike out a ton, like contact profile, or do you want the big power? So if I were to say, my leaning would be with Javier Ruiz. I think I do want to commit to bringing on a catcher, and I just like the upside of potentially bringing him in. And if he doesn't work out at catcher, he can go in a corner outfield or play first base possibly at 6'5", 215. So I think that would be my leaning. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Do you favor one of these infielders? The wild elk of the Wasatch, Elias Ortiz, is definitely tempting. Or Mike Castellan as well, who has like great gap power, and eye. He is like definitely very good, but I kind of think he'll be one of the more competitive guys. So Ruiz wants 3.75. The other catchers are all in the same neighborhood, so it's not like there's a financial advantage of choosing one over the other, and they're all pretty highly demanded by the league at large. So if we're going to get one, I think we just offer like our full 5.8 and just like, hope for the best. I don't want to mess around. I feel like reflecting on our last couple of experiences here in the IFA market, we have not really gotten our first choice for several years. It's been in the first season, we really lucked out getting Danny Jimenez and Victor Nevarez, and then ever since then we've struck out every time we've tried to go after one of the top tier guys. So anyway, I'm sort of rambling a bit. This is where we're going to end the video, guys. It's been a long one, but it's been a fun one. We've sort of retooled our team around a bunch of free agent signings. We've added new exciting names to our 40-man who will debut in spring training with us, and we've taken a look at the IFA pool here. So let me know what you would do here, and I'll be back with a new episode for you tomorrow.